Welcome to EFT MBA, Mastering Business Acumen with the help of EFT business experts. Learn the marketing, mindset, and skill set you need to create the EFT coaching practice of your dreams. Visit www.eftmba.com for more information. And now, here's the EFT training team that embodies the art and science of EFT. Alina Frank and Dr. Craig Weiner.
Hello, everyone. Welcome back to the show. I am really looking forward to doing this show today because it comes up, and it's been coming up, I think in the last year, 2 years, I get this question put before me on a regular basis. And today I'm joined with Craig. Are you there?
I am, but I was trying to find out if I was joining by or joining with you first.
Okay, so you don't have to be a rock star to succeed. So what this is very closely aligned with the fear of putting yourself out there. But like I said, for the last few years I've been getting this comment. I will be at a presentation, or I will be at a training, or we will be doing some coaching with an EFT coach who is ready to take their business to the next level, and they will say to me, I don't really want to be a rock star in order to do really well in my business. If I have to be a rock star, I don't want to do that. I'd rather be in my little office helping people quietly. I don't need to have this big online rock star presence. And so I just thought that this would be a great show to do. The whole I mean, when we think of a rock star,
mm-hmm.
What comes to mind? Okay? Getting in the media for obnoxious behavior, right? That might be some of the rock stars that I look at, and I see these people that are out there at least in the rock world. So, what other things are people striving for when they say they want to be a rock star? I mean, there's that whole wonderful song by Lorde, right? It's about partying, it's about drugs, it's about abusive behavior towards women, it's about spending frivolously on the biggest, baddest, most over-the-top whatever. And to me, it also brings about this image of burning bright for a short period of time and then fading out into oblivion almost just as quickly.
Mm-hmm. I hadn't actually thought of that one. I like that. I think of what you were out there. They're out there. They're like this sense of you always have to be in people's faces. You always have to be advertising. You always have to have like the glitziest graphics. You always have to be doing things expensive. You always have to be doing things over the top, and that feeling of that kind of always in your face, always over the top, always bigger and bigger, and there's this sense of, for people that feel like, well, I don't want to do it that way. And in fact, you said it's so tied in with, then if I'm really out there big time, everybody's going to look at me with a much different set of eyes, a much more critical eye. They're looking for the flaws. They're looking
exactly.
So that whole aspect of not just having to put the energy out for promotion, but all the eyes coming back at me. And I want a private life, and I want to be able to not have everybody know everything about me, and that's what I see a lot of.
Yeah, and in actuality, what happens is you prevent yourself from really going to anywhere. You prevent yourself from going anywhere, and let me tell you, there are lots of little steps that happen between now and a very successful six-figure income a year, multiple six-figure income a year, thriving practice. There are all of these steps. But what happens is you sit there frozen thinking about what if, and we know one of the ways to get over that is to really do some tapping. There's a Chinese proverb that I came across. He who deliberates fully before taking a step will spend his entire life on one leg.
Ooh, that has a mixed message. What's wrong with
Does
deliberation?
Yeah. So deliberate. If we just had this wonderful meeting. We have a very big top secret project, which we'll be talking about. Yeah, we'll be talking about it later this year. But we met with somebody who is really in that world, and they do it very, very well. And we met them for dinner, and we said, if we had known all of the challenges that we would go through when we started this project, we probably wouldn't have started it. And they looked at us and said, you're perfect for it then, because everyone feels that way. And so I think there's a little bit of what happens is you look at all of the things that could possibly go wrong, and you deliberate on each little piece, and you freeze, you paralyze, and you don't move forward, versus like we experienced with this project, right? We analyzed what was happening. I did some tapping on it, and then became very clear about next steps. And I'm actually appreciative of the challenges that we happened, because it made us grow, get clear on our vision, and ultimately we will succeed even beyond what we expected as a result of that. So I want to just make clear that you said deliberating on all of it is that not the thing to do. Craig, what did you want to say about that?
I just want to say there's nothing wrong with using due diligence and wisdom and looking forward at the implication. In other words, there's a due diligence with any project, but we can get mired in that to the point that I see people for years not moving forward onto one aspect of their practice. That for years they put off, I'm not a public speaker, I'm not a public speaker, I'm not a public speaker, or I'm not a writer, I'm not a writer, I'm not a writer. Rather than tapping through those issues and moving through it, that just bogs them down in the implications of what it means for so long, rather than going, okay, what do I need to do to move through this? This is just a block. So
right.
Deliberation can be taken to an extreme.
Deliberation can be taken to an extreme, and it causes paralysis and living your life on one leg.
Right. Yep.
but then, so along the way as you're deliberating, you absolutely have to be tapping. Here's something that I wanted to share that I think that very few people know about me. Right? They don't know this about me, because they kind of see my name, and I've been out there for a while. And believe it or not, I am an introvert.
No way. There's no way people are going to believe that about you. You're on a radio show. Your face is everywhere. Come on, no way.
And the way that we define someone that's an introvert or an extrovert is, an introvert is someone who really gains energy from being alone, and an extrovert is someone that gains energy by being with people. Now, Craig is an extrovert, aren't you, Craig? Admit it.
I am. I wasn't always that way when I was very young, but I have shifted to that, because I do gain energy by being in connection, community with other people. I do. You're right. Yeah, I admit it. Okay.
So what I don't want you to actually buy into is this idea that because you are an introvert, you can't put yourself out there, that you can't speak about what's important to you, you can't deliver your messages to large audiences, that you can't go in front of a live audience and do a public speaking engagement, that you can't put yourself out there in terms of newsletter or email or video even, or a radio show or an article. That is fear, and fear has nothing to do with being an introvert. You've got to remember to detach and break those apart and just tap on the fears that you're experiencing along the way with all the different ways of promoting yourself. And you also learn as an introvert that, yes, taking care of yourself is important. At the end of the day, being alone for me is important. When we go off and we do these trainings and we're with people all day long, I much prefer to be alone for part of the morning, and then I am really great and excited about connecting with lots and lots of different people. So I want to really underscore that being an introvert, believe it or not, makes great EFT coaches, because most of the time in your practice you are going to be alone, one-on-one with people. So it's absolutely fabulous to be an introvert, and getting over those fears that you have about putting yourself out there in different ways is very different than buying into this idea of, I'm an extrovert, I can't do those things. I also want to tell you that not to leave the extroverts out. If you are an extrovert, then you're going to have to find ways in your practice to feed that desire and that energy for more people by doing more groups and that sort of thing, and finding ways to really connect with others in a much bigger and more expansive way. Maybe doing more of the networking that happens in community live. In your community. Craig, you want to say anything about that?
No, I just think that I guess the piece that I want to add to that is, even as an extrovert person, at times, sometimes it's just in certain circumstances that we're that way, and it's often a blend of both, I think, for everybody. Different places in which we feel safe, we're more extroverted. Places in which we feel vulnerable or unsafe, we feel more introverted. So I think it's much more of a fluid line. But what I also want to look at is with the extroversion is to balance that introversion with how am I being authentic and real, right? It's not just about putting energy out. That balance, that yin-yang of the extrovert-introvert is I may be being out there, I may be speaking in public, but the balance is, am I also bringing my inner self out to the outer world? Am I sharing myself? Am I being true to myself? Am I being authentic in story, in word, in what I'm talking about and sharing? So I kind of want to break down that whole extrovert-introvert. That introvert is tapping on what are the issues of being true to myself, but being a gift by sharing that with others. Mm-hmm. And by being an extrovert, in which we naturally share with others, the gift that I have to bring is bringing more of myself and my internal self to that external world. So it's really about the balance and healing for both sides.
Mm-hmm. Good. So let's talk about all the related fears, because we know that in order to be really super and thorough and effective in your EFT tapping, it's better to be even more specific. So related fears, the next level of getting a little more specific on this, let's go through this list here. So all of these are related to fear of putting yourself out there and you don't want to be a rock star. One fear is I can't promote myself. I'm afraid to promote myself. So, and this goes together with the second one, which is I'm afraid to sell my services. Now, I will tell you right now that I don't sell anything. Mm-hmm. I don't sell anything. I share what I have of value for other people who are interested in the opportunity to work with me. And that's a very different mindset and energetic.
That's good. And I think people think about they always have to sell themselves, and that energetic of people coming to you, you're just there providing the service, mm-hmm. and then they come to you. So you don't have to play that idea of that used car salesman-ish whole thing, right? It's like you provide a quality service, you well communicate what you do so the world in different ways can find you, but you're not having to sell. I would say I definitely agree with that. And if you're having to sell, you're pushing it too hard.
Right. And along with this goes the idea of your fear of not being good enough. Now, I don't know anyone on the planet that's alive today that doesn't have or has had some piece of I'm not good enough going on as a belief system. Now, to override this, so all of these you absolutely need to tap on, but the what if I'm not good enough, also, we want to just remind people that skills build confidence. your learning and your skill set absolutely builds your confidence level. So there might be a little bit of you aren't that good. So I'm because I just want to say the truth. We see people that say that they've been doing EFT for a long time. They've never gone through a proper training program where there's oversight and there's mentoring and feedback on live sessions. And I would put people that learned it online into that category. So, and I would say that that even if you are a great EFT practitioner, that's a very different skill set than it is to be good enough as a marketer, because you are going to have to learn the business and marketing part of this business in order to thrive as an entrepreneur. So I would say take a course, take the EFT MBA class, learn what you can about marketing and business aspects of doing this professionally, so that really then starts to diminish the feeling that you're not good enough. And not to say that you don't get to a point where you still have this feeling and it goes much deeper. We know that that's part of the mix, but definitely train.
Yeah. No, that's well said.
Okay. Here's another related fear, which is the fear that I won't make it even if I put out all that effort. So I'm going to be doing all of these things. I'm going to be busting my butt. I'm going to get over my fear of what I look like on a video, and I'm going to do a video, and I'm going to spend all this time doing social media, and I won't even get any returns anyway. This usually comes from putting out a little bit of effort, and sometimes a lot of effort misplaced in the wrong area of your business where you haven't seen adequate returns. And so when we do a business coaching session with a coach, we will review their website, and we will review their marketing plan, and we'll review what they're doing. And it's really sad because the ones that have done a lot of work and you can see it, they're really not very targeted. They don't know what they're doing. Maybe they've picked up this tip and that trick and this thing. And when we look at and how enormous the expenditure of time and energy and money is to what they're getting in return, it's because they're putting their efforts into the wrong areas. They're not being targeted enough. They're not really clear on things like niche and funnel marketing and all of that kind of good stuff. So, but the fear is there definitely because you have done that in the past and it hasn't given you the results that you've wanted. So that's definitely something to bring up and tap on.
Yeah. And the moving on from there, I started to mention before is when you start to put yourself out there more, and you have some people feel this pressure of getting more material out, new material out, and then beyond that starts to come, what's for many a level of authenticity. They're sharing about stories with their clients, with their own lives, etc. And the feeling then that often comes up a lot is that fear of being vulnerable.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So in other words, people are now going to know me, right?
Mm-hmm.
On a level of not just my work, but they're going to know me. And maybe there are ways in which I'm not completely walking my talk, or that's at least their thought. Maybe I'm working on, money issues, and there are examples people have in which I didn't succeed financially. Maybe I'm working on physical issues, and I had to have a surgery. Maybe I'm working on weight issues, and I'm not like a perfect weight. Maybe I'm all these different things in which all of a sudden now I'm feeling like I'm being seen. Mm-hmm. I'm being watched. I'm being analyzed. I'm feeling like people are checking me out to see if I'm in total synchrony, whatever, and that sometimes really has a very harsh self-judgment and criticism to it, to what it looks like to be perfect, to have to be a certain way. So that vulnerability is one that people often need to tap on. It's more the fear of it then
Yes.
actually I don't get a lot of people actually saying I feel very vulnerable out there. What I do hear a lot is that I'm going to feel.
Yes.
Right? It's like the projection of what it will be like if I put myself out there. I don't hear a whole lot of I'm putting myself out there and I'm really feeling vulnerable, exposed, and criticized. I feel like the fear of what happens if I do that I will be. So that very future projection shows up a lot.
Yeah, and I will say that very, very closely aligns with the next fear, which is the fear of being criticized. So it's not that you're going to be vulnerable and people say, oh, wow, I really feel your vulnerability and your authenticity and how wonderful you are. No, that's not it at all. It's the fear of being criticized. It's the fear of being judged and criticized. And let me tell you, where does that come from? That has nothing to do with your EFT practice, but everything to do with your EFT practice. It comes from these critical voices of image makers, of the people that imprinted all this information, your family of origin, your teachers, your society, especially in childhood. So you do need to tap on those traumas. You just absolutely do, either with the help of someone or on your own. Get through it, because the fear of being vulnerable and open and criticized and judged is definitely goes back to that. I see it every day with my clients. Yeah?
Good. Yep, absolutely.
Okay. So if we don't want to be a rock star, I don't want to be a rock star. You don't have to be a rock star. Let's try to come up with another frame for that. Let's come up with a reframe. What do you want to do? What do you want to be instead? How about having the model of being a teacher?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I like
can do that.
Yeah, I'm going to be a teacher, which means what, Craig, in your mind, when you think of a teacher?
I'm imparting shared knowledge. I'm offering my own experiences that may be able to be a benefit to another person. I'm offering resources and information that through my life experience I've called and found to be useful or insightful, and I'm sharing it with others. I mean, to me, that's what a teacher is.
Absolutely.
Right? It's a culminator and an integrator of information and knowledge and wisdom and resources in such a way as to be a good teacher is a way that also offers it in a way that's easily used and inspired and moves another person toward finding their own inspiration and their own way to apply that information.
Absolutely.
That's the definition for me of a good teacher, right?
A good teacher, absolutely. And we all have had experiences. We have had the nightmares, but we have had those wonderful, empowering, inspiring, uplifting teachers throughout our lives in academia and beyond that really it didn't even matter what they were teaching. We came away with a deep feeling and an emotional connection to that person, and that is really what a really good EFT coach does, is coming away with a sense of being empowered, inspired, and healing and transformation. So see yourself as the teacher, see yourself as the expert, and you will definitely go far. So I think in closing, what I want to say is that it's more about this idea of being able, instead of the rock star trashing the hotel room like in the bathtub in his own you-know-what, it could be the idea of this person, you, being able to stand up in front of people that you love and that love what you do and what message you have to share from the heart, and you every day of your life in this profession with joy and confidence. Yeah.
That feels good.
That does feel good. Whether you call that a rock star, and you can, or you say, teacher, expert, authority. Okay. Excellent. So
yes.
kept...
So there's just, I guess the last piece I just want to go is you can do it any way you want. Mm-hmm. You know what? And the work is ultimately, especially on the energetic level, I know people for example, in my community that have thriving practices that I still never met, never seen an ad, and just people are drawn to them like a magnet with a full practice. I know other people that have a full practice that do put themselves out there. So from one end to the other, it's all good. It's all your own path and finding your own way. Just keep looking for what the limiting beliefs and blocks are that are stopping you from having a thriving practice, however you are, whatever your makeup, whatever your personality style, and just bring yourself authentically forward in ways. And if you do that well, the world and your clients will find you.
Absolutely.
In magical ways. Yeah.
Yes. So we have kept the show under 30 minutes. We love doing that. We know you've got a busy day, and we love sharing this information with you. I had somebody send in a question recently about the EFT MBA podcast radio show versus the EFT MBA program. So you're listening to this information. We like sharing what we know. And there is so much more with all of these topics where we get really into the depth of it. We didn't call it MBA for nothing. I mean, this is really a 6-month program where we take you deep into the work, and you're tapping on these spheres. It's not like we're telling you tap on this and tap on that. We're actually doing the work, and we do that in a variety of ways. So we're starting our next 6-month course. We're accepting applications now. If you go to EFTMBA.com, you'll be able to download the application, and we can spend some time going over the program with you and evaluating where you are and where you could really benefit from our help.
Excellent.
Yep. All right.
Perfect.
We'll see you in a couple weeks, and until then, remember to keep on tapping.